So let's begin to the introduction. Wahhabism, also known as Wahhabiyyah, is an Islamic reformist movement that began on the Arabian Peninsula in the 18th century under the leadership of Sheikh Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab. The movement started because its supporters wanted to bring back what they believed to the purest Islamic teachings that were followed by the Prophet Muhammad and his followers. According to Fateh Shuhud, 2017, states that the Wahhabi teachings basically follow and continue the concept of Ibn Taymiyyah's theology, which includes Rububiyyah, Uluhiyyah, and Asma' wa Sifat. In addition, the theology of Tajsim, or physicalization of Allah, denies behavior that is considered syirik, and they against behavior that is called bid'ah, such as commemorating the Prophet's birthday and others. So, the purpose of this discussion is to explore the origin of Wahhabiyyah, analyze the principles of the Wahhabi sect, and propose the perspective of Ahli Sunnah wal Jama'ah regarding Wahhabiyyah.
Background of the Wahhabi existed since the beginning of the 20th century in the Malay Peninsula, brought by Malaysia and Indonesia students from Mecca, Egypt, and India. Influence of Wahhabi teachings. Mecca influenced by the teachings of Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn al-Qayyim. Egypt, the Islam movement by Muhammad Abduh and Rashid Rida. India, the teachings of Waliullah al-Dahlawi developed. The Salafi movement in Malaysia, brought by the young known as Wahhabis. The movement is considered more aggressive than other groups. Class conflict. The Tariqah and Ash'ari opposed the Wahhabis. Conflict occurs between the young, mini Wahhabi, and the old, mini traditional. Resurgence of issues. The almost silent Wahhabi is raised again, brought by certain parties to attract the attention of the community. The disagreement that led to the Wahhabiyyah. Cause of disputes. The disputes involve the issues of bili and takfiri between two figures. The Muslim community has different views on the Salafiyah Wahhabiyyah movement. Acceptance of the Salafi movement. Some accept this movement as a principle of scholar that must be followed. Different beliefs are considered wrong and cannot be communicated. Rejection of the Salafi movement. They are those who see Salafiyah as heresy that should be abandoned. Consequence of the ideological approach. A belief-based approach versus the situation. Cause conflict, murder, and divisions of Muslims. Geopolitical factors that influence the images of Wahhabis. Popular intermediate age through collaboration with Al-Wahhab and Muhammad ibn Saud, aimed at strengthening the influence of Al-Wahhab and unity Arab tribes. Ibn Saud's role. Using Wahhabi as a religious ideology for jihad, unity Arab tribes with a Puritan form of Islam. The Wahhabi political movement. Wahhabis were used to support Ibn Saud's political dominance, enforce a strict policy against harassment or resistance, legitimation of terrorist Wahhabi, allows the bloodshed of non-aligned parties, used to uphold the rules of the Saud family.
The principle of the Wahhabi sect. Wahhabism highlights three aspects of Tawhid. Number one is Tawhid Rububiyyah, refers to acknowledging Allah as the sole creator of everything. Number two, Tawhid Uluhiyyah, requires worship to be directed to Allah alone. And the last one, Tawhid Asma' wa Sifat, emphasizes recognizing Allah's name and attribute without comparing them to His creation. Rejection of innovation, which is bid'ah. Wahhabism strictly reject practices they consider innovation in religion. This include seeking intercession, which is tawassul, through anyone other than Allah, visiting graves to ask for blessing or help, using charms or amulets, as these are viewed as the contradicting the essence of Tawhid. Wahhabism advocates return to the Al-Quran and Sunnah as the primary sources of guidance. It rejects blind adherence, which is taqlid, to scholar, and encourage independent reasoning, which is ijtihad, to interpret religious texts. Rejection of traditional practices, which is Wahhabism opposes several traditional practices such as the celebration of the Prophet's Mawlid. It was not practiced by Prophet Muhammad SAW, his companions, or the earlier generation of Muslims. Wahhabism view it as an innovation, even if it is done with good intention. Grave visit for intercession, as they believe only Allah can grant intercession. Supplicating to the dead is considered an act of shirk. Strictness in Wahhabism. Wahhabism is strict in rejecting traditions such as tahleel, gathering for the deceased, feast for the dead, and exercise excessive praise of glorification of the Prophet. It's called for a return to the pure practices of Islam as observed during the time of the Prophet and his companions. Impact of Wahhabism. Wahhabism was sparked debates with other Islamic sectors due to its firm rejection of innovation and cultural practices. While it is seen as a reform movement aimed at strengthening faith, it is often criticized as being too extreme by its opponents.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Najmi bin Zainab Amar. My matrix number is 1212 and 124. Now I will present about the three refutation that be written by Al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah scholars. Is from, I take the book from the Fitnatul Wahhabiyyah that written by Al-Alamah Sheikh Said Ahmad Zaini Pendahlan rahimahullah ta'ala. And this first refutation is about to refute the Wahhabism or Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab concept about the those who did the he claimed that this ummah is this Muslimin today was a mushrik or kufr, and if they do the tawassul or do the maulid, he and Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab refer the Muslim as the kufru or mushrik, or as represent as disbelief. Na'udzubillah. So he said in the his kitab, how can Ibn Abdul Wahhab and those who follow him find it permissible to accuse the believers who believe in Tawheed to those blasphemers who believe in the goodhood of idols? All the previous cited verses and the verses is which we mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which are similar to the previously cited verses. And the verses which are similar to them are specific to the blasphemers who associate partners with Allah, which mean none of the believers are included. Al-Bukhari narrated in the root by Sayyidina Abdullah bin Umar radhiyallahu anhu, may Allah raise their ranks, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam described the Khawarij, those mean to the radical in the Aqidah perspective, like Wahhabism, or another riwayah say them as Kilabun Nar, and attributed them to the believers. In the narration by the root of Sayyidina Ibn Umar radhiyallahu anhu, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Akhwafu ma akhafu ala ummati rajulun yata'awwalu Qur'ana yada'uhu fi ghairi mawdihi," which mean, what I most fear to my nation is a man who mis-explain the Quran and takes it out of its context, which mean they are like the Wahhabism. They are interpreted the Quran without saying the asbab nuzul, why it's been said, and where is the context that's been said by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, based on whom, or neither they not learn from the other knowledge that needs to to learn before interpreted the Quran, like usul fiqh, ulum al-Quran, wa amr khas, wa ila akhirih. This hadith and the previous one apply very well to the Wahhabis, or known as today as Salafis. And second refutation about that claim by the Muhammad Abdul Wahhab. They said a tawassul, or ask something to the Solihin, but in reality they ask to the Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala, is hereby and shirk. And he said, Shaykh Ahmad Zaid Dahlan said, tawassul was legal in Islam. That's mean in the umur fiqhiyah. Umur fiqhiyah, laysa min al-i'tiqad, as was done by the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, is convenient and others. Shaykh Ahmad Zain Dahlan refute that tawassul known as them to the Salafis of Wahhabism as deviant and shirk. He said, if performing tawassul had been blasphemy, then the believers, the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is convenient, and the Salaf and Khalaf of this nation would have done that. Yet it is mentioned in the Hadith Sahih of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that the Prophet used to ask Allah Ta'ala, Qala Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Allahumma inni as'aluka bihaqqi sa'ilina alayka, which means, oh Allah, I ask you by the status of those who ask you. Without doubt, this is the very strong argument that the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to teach the supplication or dua to his companions or other them to say, like the tabi'in or solihin, or the chosen people by Allah Ta'ala to his convenience. This issue was expounded open in different books and territories refuting Ibn Abdul Wahhab. Such as example like teachers to the Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab, Muhammad Sulaiman al-Qurdi al-Taimi, he wrote about the book to refute the Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab.
So we move to the last part, which is conclusion. Wahhabi emphasizes a strict adherence to Tawheed and a rejection of activities deemed to be innovative, which is bid'ah or shirk. Although the Wahhabi interpretation of Islam aims to purify the religion by going back to what they believe to be the true practices of the Prophet Muhammad and his companions, it has caused controversy, especially with the traditional Sunni interpretation that allows practices such as tawassul and celebrating the life of the Prophet. So, as we can see, the Wahhabi viewpoint on these topics is viewed by the Ahli Sunnah wal Jama'ah as being overly rigid and misrepresentation of Islamic tradition. Thus, the Ahli Sunnah wal Jama'ah advocates a more inclusive and contextual approach in which most Muslim customs are accepted as long as they don't cause people to shirk or deviate from the core principles of the Quran and Sunnah.